is probably the most hyped thing ever out there right now. You got to take it with a grain of salt. You got to take anything that you hear. You got to take into account who's pitching it, right? I mean, but it was the same for radio or any other, any other medium as well, or any other event or anything, right? I mean,
yeah,
have a vested interest in you attending or buying, trading your money. So they're gonna hype it up in some way. And the thing is with the internet is like there's just a ridiculous amount of hype in that. And I think mainly because there's so many folks on it, they just don't know what they're doing, and all they know is what they've seen, which is hype. So more hype, more hype. I mean, you'll see ninja hyper, any kind of just hyperbole out. You're going to see it applied to the internet very, very much so. I mean, it's the idea that it's so easy. Stems a lot, I think, from the people that are hyping it up. But again, you look at who's hyping it, what are they hyping, and what are they look at their pocketbooks, and you can see what the deal is. But again, going back to our original, one of the original questions is like, well, even with all that, maybe you buy into some of it, maybe you don't. But then you've got to look at you, right? You've got to look at what you're doing and seeing that, hey, I tried out what they were hyping, or I believed in it, and well, now let me evaluate. Is it really working for me? Is it really getting where I really want to be? I had a conversation with some of my mastermind friends about this and we're talking about the Matrix, and one of the things, especially for budding or fledgling wannabe entrepreneurs, are considering it, right? Or even the people that have been in it for a bit and even for a long time, is that they feel they've gotten out of the Matrix, kind of like Neo. It's like, okay, I got out of the Matrix. I got out of the Matrix of corporate America. I got out of the Matrix of working for somebody else, punching a clock, and now I'm free, right? Yeah. But then, what they really, a lot of folks never get to the point where a lot of them don't realize that they're still in a matrix. It's a different matrix, right? They're in the matrix of easy money. They're in the matrix of freedom. They're in the matrix of like whatever I make dictates the quality of my life.
Well, I mean, what I found is that the old adage is that you leave a boss and you get a new boss, and it's called your customers.
Well, I mean, even you're that as well, right? I like where it's like, I fired my old boss, but and I got a new one, but he's an asshole. And I mean, like, I drive myself to, I decide when I start working and stop working, and if I work at all, or if I want to spend time with my kids, or if I'm up till 3, 4, 5 a.m. and whatever.
Exactly.
Like, why am I doing those things? I guess that's my point. Is that I found at times I was still buying into somebody else's matrix, where maybe some guru or some book I read and said, okay, well, this is what it means to be a successful entrepreneur. This is what if you're making less than $2,000 a month passively, then you suck, right? So you have A, C, and D, Z, or whatever, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. Or if you're working more than 4 hours a week, you're not living the dream.
Yeah.
And what the fuck am I doing? Excuse my language.
That's all right.
Leave that. But ultimately, it's like you got to look at what you're taking in, and don't. And some people will just say, "Hey, man, whatever you take in, just take action and do it." And I think that's great, because any action, some action is better than none, because at least you have the experience. Because we never really learn from reading or listening.
No, you got to get out there and do it.
Yeah, but then you've got to go to the next step, though, and say, for whatever I was just doing, whether it was my own idea or someone else's idea, is it still good for what I really want? Is it still something that I want to do? Given not where I set my goals from 20, 30 years ago, or even 10 days ago, it's like right now. Is this still valid for what I want right now in the moment? Because, again, everything's changing every minute, every second,
Exactly, and that's the way people normally, I try and instill, is that you have to be fresh on your feet. And I know a lot of people, they're still contemplating, whether this is right to get into business and so forth. And you look at the economy and the job market now, it's pretty tough out there. So you have to make that decision pretty quick, and do it in a way where you're not going to cause yourself expose yourself to too much risk. I mean, what would you say to that? Okay, I think we've
Sorry,
yep,
you there?
yeah, I'm there. I think I lost you.
You did for a bit. My apologies. Okay, so as far as, I mean, I would agree with you that there is risk out there, but that runs across the board, right? It's just a matter of what you do, what you're able to do, what is in your power to mitigate that risk. Um, Working for a company, even no matter how long you've been there, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, their prerogative again is like any business is to make a profit, and if it's such that they cannot support your job and still make a profit, then you're going to go away, right?
Yeah.
If you're giving them enough value to justify them keeping you there, even if it's not directly measurable with their profit, then if you can't prove your value, then you're going to go away. But the same type of thing as you're an entrepreneur, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that call themselves entrepreneurs out there, but what is an entrepreneur really? It's somebody that gives value, more value to other people that are willing to pay for it, right? And pay them for it. So unless you can demonstrate that value in some way, and it doesn't have to be like, hey, here's a product, here's my widget for you to buy, right? It's a matter of like, well, what does that widget mean to me? Now, it could be a direct correlation to say, oh, well, that widget, that service, makes it such that I'm able to get X dollars in every single week, right? So that's great. But then there are other things as well. I have some clients for me like that. I do. It's almost more of like a somebody that speaks their language more so than what I do for them. I mean, I not every single campaign that I create for myself or my clients is a home run. And anybody that tells you that, especially if they're a marketer, anyone that says, "Oh yeah, everything I do, it's gold," it's complete BS. It's complete BS. Lose more money sometimes than you're actually making on campaigns. Sometimes you don't make any money at all. But the key is like when you do get those wins, they are big wins, right?
Well, and
I mean, even along the lines of like, okay, I'm working with a client on a campaign we didn't do as well, but why do they keep me around? Well, because I have ideas, they don't, right? Or I have confidence in that, and I have the resources, they don't. Or they have fear in me where I understand them, and because entrepreneurship can be very, very, very lonely. I mean, especially
exactly.
especially who are a kind of solopreneur, or like you're doing a lot of your business on the internet. I mean, it's you and your computer. I mean, that's why social media is so big, especially in the online communities, because that gives them that connection to go out, because they're just we're just there standing or sitting in front of our desks. And it's like, okay, well, I need a way out. But it can be very lonely. So for them, they're paying for having to be around to talk to. They might not know it, they might not admit it, but I know that that's one of the reasons they keep me around.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
the thing where it's you've got to understand where your value is, and make sure that's something they continue to get, or else you're not gonna be around for much or very long. So.
Okay, because we nearing our time, because they only give us 45 minutes on this network. I mean, take us through some of the techniques that you help people with in terms of online marketing, because I'll be interested to hear about that, and I do want to hear about the builders and the bodybuilders and tutus as well.
In terms of getting clients, is that pretty much what you're asking? Like, how do I get clients, or how do I?
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, so my audience can get a good feel and a good idea of what they can do also in their own time.
Right. Well, this is the same thing I would tell anybody. Is ultimately it goes back to what was talking about earlier, positioning. Right. You've got to position yourself in such that you are being chased. You are being chased. You're not the one chasing. Right.
Right.
My mentors before would talk about like you are. Think of yourself as kind of, and I don't know if you have these in the UK or not, but the prom, right? You've got like, high school here in the United States. We have the prom, which is like a big dance in high school, and they crown the prom king and the prom queen. Well, the prom queen is typically the very popular cheerleader, very beautiful girl, and you want to think of yourself as that right? If you want to think of yourself as the prom queen that everybody wants to be, that every girl wants to be, that every guy is trying to get as his girlfriend. That prom queen doesn't chase anybody. That prom queen doesn't pay for anything. That prom queen doesn't ask anybody out. She gets asked out, right? So, but the thing is with that is the positioning to be the prom queen. Okay, and that's the thing that you've got to do in your business. So one of the things that you can do is write a book, and that's that you mentioned earlier, bodybuilders and tutus and the sometimes 35 other obscure business boosting observations. That is positioning a tool for me that people will say, oh my gosh, he's an author. And you may be in this marketing environment enough to know that it's really not that difficult to publish a book.
No. Yeah.
85, 90, 95% of the people out there, the people that are potentially people that are your customers, they don't know that. They see that you are an author. If you just add that to the end of your bio, and published author. Holy crap! I mean, people see you in a different way. Right. Same type of thing is if you educate them, right, immediately. Say for example, if you do an event like an in-person seminar or even online webinar, well, anybody that attends that, you're already automatically positioned as an authority in their mind because they are learning from you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I would say. The more you're able to do that in a way that is giving valuable information to your audience, your target market, then that makes everything else much, much, much easier in terms of acquiring them as clients. And then in that case, you are the one that decides, yes, I want to work with you, or no, I don't want to work with you. And that's where you want to be. And ultimately, you have to have that mindset first before the client comes.
Yes.
Right? You can't be in the same two places. You can't be in mentally. You can't be in a place of like, oh, I got to get to my next client, my next client, and and then still have the positioning and the aura around, right? The attractive power around you.
Yeah, you either have to have one or the other, and if you're going to focus on attraction, then be the attraction, basically.
Somebody that's valuable to them right from the get-go, and be willing to say no, even if they have a check written to you. Be willing. Ultimately, yeah, man. I mean, that's the best. I'll tell you, that's the biggest, the most powerful thing you can acquire as an entrepreneur is if somebody has signed you a check and is willing to pay you for your services, and and even if you need it, you say no to them. That's the most powerful gift you give yourself as an entrepreneur.
Okay, so we've got 43 minutes. Any final thoughts for my audience in terms of if they're starting out and if they're in business and also if they're established? Any final thoughts for my audience?
Oh, well, I mean, just continue to. I think the theme for me, this whole interview, is really just continue to evaluate what you're doing and where you want to go. I mean, you don't ask that question just. Where are you now? Where do I want to be? What's keeping me from where I want to be? You don't ask these questions in just one time. You ask them consistently, constantly. And if you can do that, you'll be a heck of a lot better off emotionally and financially, spiritually than if you didn't. So that would be my advice to them.
Okay, all right, okay then. So this is the it's nearing the time of the Entrepreneur Wilderness Radio Show. My guest today is Philip Lompoy. It was very good, insightful interview, Philip. Can I hold you over to the other side?
Sure.
Okay. All right then. So this is the Entrepreneur Wilderness Radio Show. My name is Oyeno Alubala, your host, and I hope you've got a lot to take away today and to also implement, because the best way to get something done is to do it. Okay. So until next time, see you again.